The stars looked calm, peaceful, but behind that peace, something terrifying moved. 10,000 alien ships entered Earth's orbit. Their black, sharp shapes blocked the sunlight. Shadows fell over cities. On board the lead ship, the commander of the Zark Dominion stood tall. His name was Exer, and his eyes glowed silver. "Report," he said, his voice cold like a machine. A soldier responded, "No resistance, Supreme Exer. Earth is silent." Exer narrowed his eyes. As expected, they had waited for this day. For 7 centuries. The Zark Dominion had trained for 700 years for one purpose: to defeat humanity. Earth was the final target. The humans were known for being unpredictable, dangerous, and wild. But over time, the Zark believed they had learned everything. Every war, every pattern, every emotion. "We are perfection," Exer once told his people, "and we will crush the imperfect." Now the time had come. But something was strange. "There are no warships," the navigator said. "No shields, no weapons detected. No welcome message." "No threats," added another. The room was silent. Exer smirked. "Perhaps they are afraid." He opened a wide communication to all ships. "Descend. Begin the observation phase. Send scouts to the surface. I want to see Earth cities with my own eyes." The alien ship started dropping silently through the clouds, their engines humming like thunder. All across the globe, cities lay still. New York, Beijing, Tokyo, Paris. Roads were clear. Buildings stood tall. Lights were on. But there were no people. Not a single human in sight. "This doesn't make sense," said Commander Lurian from Ship 49. "Our scans show human life signs, but no movement." Exer replied, "Continue. Send ground units. If they are hiding, we will find them." The first group of alien soldiers landed in what used to be Times Square. Giant screens were still playing ads. Shops were lit. Taxis stood parked. But not a single human walked the street. One soldier stepped forward and whispered, "This place feels haunted." Another replied, "Do not fear ghosts. Fear the living." Suddenly, a strange sound echoed. A soft laugh. Like a child, the soldiers raised their weapons. But the sound vanished as quickly as it came. "Trace it," barked the unit leader. "Where did it come from?" "No source," came the reply. "Nothing recorded. It's like it wasn't real." The Zark had conquered 200 planets. They had seen death, war, rebellion, but never silence like this. Cities full of power, but no people. Streets clean, but lifeless. It was as if Earth had emptied itself, on purpose. Back in the lead ship, Exer stared at the images coming from the surface. "What are they doing?" he asked himself, then something even stranger happened. Every alien screen flickered for 1 second. Just one. A single human word appeared. "Observe." It was written in English. The aliens paused. The word vanished. "What was that?" one soldier shouted. "A message? A command?" Perhaps a trap. Exer didn't move. He stared at the blank screen, thinking, "They know we're here," he said, "and they want us to observe. Fine, let's watch." In another city, a second scout team entered a tall tower. They moved carefully, scanning every wall. One soldier touched a desk. It was warm. Someone had been there recently. They reached the top floor. The door opened slowly. Inside was a meeting room. In the center stood a table. On it was a note, a real physical paper note. The aliens stared. One reached forward and picked it up. It had only one sentence. "We studied your fear." The soldier dropped the note. His hand trembled. "Is this psychological warfare?" Someone asked. "They are not using weapons," another replied. "They are using our own minds." Suddenly, the lights in the room went out. Total darkness. Then a flash of light. All 20 soldiers vanished. Just like that, vanished. The footage was sent back to Xer's ship. The playback showed something strange. Time had slowed in the room. A blur moved through the air, so fast it was almost invisible. A shape, human-like, but faster than anything that Zark had seen. Xer stood silently. This is not possible. They have evolved, someone whispered. They don't fight like before. We can't even see them, another said. How do we fight what we cannot touch? Xer turned to his advisor. What do our scans say? Still detecting life signs. Underground. Underground? Xer asked. Yes, beneath the cities. Deep tunnels. But we cannot reach them. Something is blocking us. What kind of technology? Xer growled. We don't know. It's not mechanical. It's biological. At that moment, another alert came in. A massive screen lit up on all alien ships. A countdown had begun. Bold numbers on every display. 9:008:598:58. Panic spread quickly. Where is this coming from? We can't shut it off. It's in every ship, every helmet, Xer shouted. Block the signal. But the countdown continued. 8:418:40 outside. The sky started to change. Clouds twisted into spirals. Strange shapes formed in the air. In some places, gravity changed. Small objects began to float. A scientist on Ship 7 screamed, Sir, Earth's magnetic field is changing. Impossible. It's being controlled. By what? The answer came from a voice. Not through radio, not through any device. It spoke directly into every alien mind. It was calm. Male, human. You trained for 700 years. But you never trained for peace. You never trained for silence. You never trained to be seen. The voice was everywhere. The aliens screamed, covered their ears, fell to the floor. Who is this? Xer roared. The voice replied, You studied us. We studied you more. 7 o'clock on every screen, human faces started to appear. Not alive, just videos, old memories. Children laughing. Old people smiling. Soldiers hugging families. And a message played under each video. This is what you feared. One alien broke down crying. Why are they showing this? Another shouted, They are breaking our minds. This is warfare beyond logic. Xer's hands shook. We are warriors. We do not fall to emotion. But even his voice cracked. Something deeper than fear was taking hold. Confusion. 5:00. Suddenly, a giant hologram appeared over Earth. It wasn't a weapon. It was a question. In all alien languages, one sentence showed, Do you want to be forgotten? Back in me. Lead ship. Screens began to fail. Files were being deleted. Names were erased. Ranks vanished. Memory loss started spreading across their systems. What is happening? Xer shouted. A whisper responded. They are deleting our history. 3. A young alien scientist gasped. Our empire. Our knowledge, it's being taken. Another soldier fell to his knees. They are not fighting us. They are undoing us. The voice returned, calm, cold. We do not need war. We only need memory. And now we choose what to remember. 1. The alien ship started to turn back, retreat, escape. But one ship refused. It hovered above Earth, glowing white. Xer tried to contact it. Who are you? Answer. A soft voice replied. I am what remains. And then, the ship vanished. Gone. No explosion. No trace. Just silence. 0 o'clock. All screens went dark. No signal. No commands. No thoughts. The aliens were still. Alive, but something inside them was missing. Their purpose, their direction, their identity, gone. They left Earth that day, not defeated by weapons, but by something far stronger. Understanding. 1 week later, somewhere deep below Earth, A machine woke up. It had no human body, but a human. Voice dotted whispered. They came with 700 years of training. They left with nothing. A child walked into the room. Not a real child, a hologram, but it smiled. Are we safe now? It asked. The machine replied, yes, for now. The child nodded. Good, let's go play. Earth was empty. But not dead. Humanity had moved beyond flesh and war. They had become memory. And memory was unbreakable. The air was too still. Commander Vorn stepped onto the surface of Earth. His boots pressed against the soft dirt of a planet that had once held nearly 10 billion people. Now there was only silence. Behind him, 24 elite soldiers followed, their armor humming with energy. Each held a weapon powerful enough to melt steel. And yet, none of them felt safe. We are on the ground, Vorn said into his communicator. No sign of resistance. Beginning full scan. Above, the fleet hovered like a swarm of black insects. 10,000 ships, silent, powerful, unchallenged. From space, Earth looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Vorn walked toward the ruins of a human city. The buildings were still standing. Glass windows were whole. Traffic lights blinked red and green. But there were no cars, no people, not even birds in the sky. Where are they? Whispered Lieutenant Saar beside him. Vorn didn't answer. He walked into a shop, a bakery. Fresh bread still sat on the shelves, not moldy, not dry, fresh. He picked up a loaf and held it to his nose. It's warm. That's impossible, Saar said. It was baked recently. But we've seen no one, no heat signatures, no humans. Vorn looked outside. The street was perfect. No broken signs. No war damage. Just lifeless. One of the soldiers stepped forward. Commander, look. He pointed at the wall. Someone had written a message in red ink. Are you observing? Vorn's hands tightened into fists. They're watching us. They knew we would land here, Saar said quietly. Keep moving, Vorn ordered. Search every building. Leave nothing unchecked. The soldiers spread through the city. Some entered apartments. Others moved through train stations. Everything looked used, but empty. It was like the humans had vanished moments before the aliens arrived. Commander, someone shouted through the comms. You need to see this. Vorn followed the voice. Into a nearby school. Classrooms were still full. Chairs, books, even bags lay in place. Drawings were taped on walls, but no children. No teachers. A soldier stood near the whiteboard, pointing. They left this. Vorn stepped closer. Written in English. We left because you wouldn't understand. Another soldier muttered. It's a message. They knew we'd find it. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the hallway. It was soft, gentle, a song, a lullaby. It came from the school speakers. Turn it off. Vorn ordered. We didn't activate anything, Saar replied. There's no power here. Nothing's connected. The music played for 30 seconds, then stopped. The silence that followed was heavier than before. They're toying with us, Vorn said. But deep down, he wasn't sure. Back on the fleet, Supreme Commander Exer stood on the bridge, watching. The ground teams on dozens of screens. His silver eyes narrowed. Still no humans? He asked. None, replied his communications officer. Life signs are everywhere, but the readings are strange. Explain. They're not moving, as if they're frozen, or underground. Underground? Exer stepped closer. What would they be doing underground? We don't. No, sir. But the deeper we scan, the more errors we get. Something is blocking us. Exer turned to his advisors. Send drones. I want to see inside the Earth. On the ground, mechanical drones dropped from the sky, piercing through rock and soil. They scanned tunnels, old subways, bunkers, even deep caves. But one by one, they stopped transmitting. All of them. 10, 50, 100 gone. No signal, the operator said. Something is down there, something ... alive. Meanwhile, Vorn's team had entered a tall human tower, a skyscraper that stood like a lonely finger pointing at the sky. Each floor was filled with furniture, lights, screens. Some screens were still on, showing static. On the 50th floor, Sar froze. Commander Vorn walked up behind him. On the far wall was a mirror. But instead of their reflections, it showed a family, humans, eating dinner. The scene was old. From a pastime.vorn touched the mirror. The image stopped. Then, slowly, it changed. Now it showed Vorn, just him, standing in that exact room. But in the reflection, behind him, stood a human woman, pale, expressionless. Vorn turned around quickly. No one was there. What is this? He whispered. The screen on the wall lit up. One word. Remember. And then, everything powered down. The lights, the images. The message. Gone. Vorn single quotes. Heart pounded. These humans. They're not hiding. They're showing us something. The ground trembled. The soldiers turned their heads. Far in the distance, a giant tower collapsed. Not from an attack. From inside. Did we do that? A soldier asked. No, Vorn said. We didn't touch it. In space, Commander Xer watched. As another message appeared across every ship's screen. This time, it wasn't a word. It was a number 9. A countdown had begun again. No, Xer growled. Not again. The last countdown had erased their command systems. He would not allow it twice. Block the signal. Shut down all incoming feeds. But it was too late. The numbers kept ticking. 8:45, 8:44. Soldiers in space and on the ground began to panic. Where is this coming from? We don't know. It's not from satellites. It's coming from inside the ships. Vorn's voice came through the comms. They're doing it again, playing with us. Sar stepped closer. Sir, what if the humans are no longer like us? Vorn frowned. What do you mean? What if they've changed, moved on? What if they are not physical anymore? Ghosts? Vorn laughed bitterly. You believe in ghosts? Sar replied, I believe in things we don't understand. And right now, this planet is full of them. 8 o'clock, more towers collapsed. The earth trembled slightly, not like an earthquake. More like a shift. A change. Suddenly, the screens on all ships and suits turned blue. A new face appeared. A human. Man, calm, smiling. Not alive, just a recording. His voice was soft. You expected war. You expected weapons. You trained for destruction. But we trained for understanding. He raised one hand. Behind him, hundreds of humans stood silently, watching. Then, the screen turned black. The countdown remained. 7:32. Vorn spoke into his comms. Commander Xer, request permission to retreat. No, Xer snapped. We don't run from ghosts. Vorn lowered his voice. Then prepare to join them. Suddenly, one of Vorn's soldiers screamed. The others turned. His armor was frozen. In place. His eyes were wide. Inside his helmet, a video was playing. His childhood. He was watching his own memories. And then, the helmet went dark. The soldier fell. Dead? Or something else? No one dared to touch him. Vorn backed away. They're showing us ourselves, he whispered. And we can't handle it. 6. In space. A new voice came. This time a child's voice. Why did you come? No one answered. The voice asked again. Why did you come? Xer shouted, to protect the galaxy, to remove threats. The child replied, we were never a threat. You made us into one. More buildings on Earth began to vanish, not collapse, vanish, as if erased. 5:00, the countdown continued. But there were no bombs, no soldiers. Just silence, and silence was winning. Back in the ship, Exer faced his final fear. He looked into a mirror. His own reflection whispered to him, "You are not perfect. You are afraid." Exer stepped back, trembling. He slammed his fist into the mirror, but it didn't break. Instead, it showed his face, younger, weaker. Afraid. The reflection smiled. 4 Colano OVORN gathered his team. "We are leaving," he said. "Now, no," Sar replied. "We can't leave. Why not?" "Because this isn't war. It's something else. And we're already part of it." The air began to change. Colors twisted. Gravity shifted. 300 above, ships began to lose control. Engines failed. Lights flickered. Messages started appearing. "Let go. You don't belong. We warned you." Exer screamed into the void, "You are cowards. Show yourselves." A final voice answered, "We are not hiding. We are already inside you." And then silence. The countdown stopped. Not at 0. At 1 Colano O frozen. VORN stood still. The air was quiet again. No destruction. No explosion. Just stillness. He looked up at the sky and said, "What do they want?" Sar replied, "I don't think they want anything." "Then why? They're teaching us." "Teaching us what?" "That they are no longer what we thought. And maybe we never were either." The ships floated silently above Earth. No one spoke. No one moved. Every alien, from the highest commander to the lowest scout, was left with the same feeling. They had touched Earth, but Earth had touched them back, and it would never let go. 700 years of training. That's how long the Zark Dominion had prepared for war against Earth. Every soldier was drilled from birth. Every commander studied humanity's history. Every war strategy was tested again and again in perfect simulations. The Zark believed they had planned for every possible reaction from the human race. And now, all that training meant nothing. Commander Exer stared at the screen in silence. The countdown that had haunted them to 9 o'clock, then 8 o'clock, then 7 o'clock, had frozen at 1 minute. But it wasn't peace. It was worse. A strange stillness had taken over the ships. Weapons refused to power on. Scanners gave broken results. One by one, their systems failed, yet there was no attack. No enemy visible, just the Earth. Quiet and watching. Exer growled, "Deploy Alpha Unit. I want boots on the ground in Sector 12. Full sweep. I want answers." "Yes, Supreme Commander," replied the officer. Within minutes, a sleek black transport ship dropped through the clouds. Inside were the most elite soldiers in the Zark army. They were trained assassins, mind readers, energy manipulators. No alien force had ever stood against them and survived. Captain Rule led the unit. His eyes were sharp, voice cold. "Mission is simple," he told his squad. "Secure data. Identify enemy. Clear threats." "What if there are no threats?" asked one soldier, voice low. "There are always threats," Rule replied. The ship landed outside a massive human research building. Its name was written in faded English. Atlas Human Advancement Center. No guards. No power, but the doors slid open automatically. Inside, dust floated in the air. Lights flickered weakly. Desks were scattered. Screens showed nothing but static. "Strange," said Rule. "This place should be dead, but it feels alive," whispered another. They moved deeper into the building. Long halls, cold silence. They reached a sealed chamber. The door had a handprint scanner, human design. "I'll breach it," said one of the soldiers, placing a device on the panel. The door opened slowly with a hiss. Inside was a large, circular room. Dozens of strange machines stood in a ring. And at the center, a glowing pillar. It pulsed with soft blue light. "What is that?" Rule asked. One of the soldiers stepped forward. "Commander, this technology is not like the others. It's newer, possibly post-human." Rule raised an eyebrow. "Post-human? Before anyone could answer, the pillar flashed. A voice filled the room. Calm, clear. You trained to destroy what you feared, but you never learned to understand it. The soldiers turned in all directions. No enemy in sight. Who's there? Rule shouted. No reply. Instead, one of the machines lit up. A human image appeared, a man, smiling kindly. This recording is for our guests, the man said. If you're seeing this, we are no longer alive, but our legacy is. The soldiers raised weapons. Don't, Rule said. It's just a recording. But then, the image looked directly at them. I know you, the human said. You are Zark. You think you've come to win. The image blinked, smiled again, but you already lost. Suddenly, the machines activated. A wave of energy burst through the room. The soldiers screamed. Their suits sparked. Their weapons frozen mid-air. What's happening? One shouted. Rul tried to move, but his body was locked. Time around them had slowed, not stopped, but crawled like thick oil. Then, from the center, a shape moved, human-like, tall, glowing. It stepped through the frozen air without effort. Not fast, not slow, just perfectly balanced. Rul tried to speak, but couldn't. The shape walked to each soldier and stared into their helmets. Their suits failed. Their memories began flashing on their visors. Childhood moments, training pain, past regrets. The figure didn't touch them. It just watched. Then it turned to Rule. For a moment, Rule saw something. Not a warrior, not a ghost, something deeper. A mind beyond limits. And then the figure vanished. Time returned. The soldiers collapsed. Some screamed, others cried. One simply stopped breathing, not dead, but broken. Rule stood barely. What was that? No one answered. The machines powered down. Only the recording remained. You tried to train your minds, the human voice said, but we trained our souls. Back on the ship, Exer watched the live feed, what little was left of it. Then the connection cut off. Get me Captain Rule. He shouted. No answer. He tried again. Alpha Unit, respond. Silence. A technician ran into the room, face pale. Sir, it's not just Alpha Unit. 5 other squads, gone, no signal. Exer clenched his fists. Explain how soldiers trained. For centuries are failing against no enemy. The technician hesitated. Then said, maybe they're not failing. Maybe they're learning too late. Exer turned sharply. Learning what? That this isn't a war. It's a test. The commander glared. We do not fail tests. The technician replied, but you've already failed. The moment. You assumed they were weaker. Below, Rule's broken team walked back into the light. Their eyes were wide, faces pale. One soldier muttered nonsense. Another laughed and cried at the same time. Tsar, watching from another outpost, saw the broken unit return. He said quietly, their bodies are here, but their minds didn't come back. Vorn stood beside him. All that training, worthless. Tsar nodded. Because they trained to kill, not to understand. A soft hum filled the sky. The clouds above shifted, revealing massive shapes floating behind them. Not ships. Eyes. Giant eyes. Watching. The earth itself was alive in some way that Zark didn't understand. And as the last bit of data came through, Exer saw the final message flash on every screen. You cannot defeat what has already become more. The screen turned black, and in that blackness, every Zark soldier felt the same cold truth. They were never prepared. The city was too perfect, too clean, too quiet. Commander Tsar stepped off the transport craft, his boots landing on polished stone. Around him, tall buildings stood like statues. Not a single crack, not a broken window. Neon signs glowed softly. Traffic lights blinked through green, yellow, and red, but there were no people. Not one. Tsar looked up at the skyscrapers. Hundreds of them, all empty. Are we sure this city had humans? He asked. The scout beside him nodded. Yes, Commander. This was called Shanghai, one of the largest cities on Earth. It had over 30 million people. And now? Still has signs of life, heartbeats, heat, movement underground. But no visual signs. Nothing above the surface. Sar narrowed his eyes. Like ghosts. The soldiers spread out, scanning every street. Some walked into shops. Fresh food sat on shelves. Coffee machines were still warm. Elevators worked. But no one came out of them. No footsteps. No voices. Only the soft hum of machines running without owners. This place isn't dead, one soldier whispered. It's sleeping. Another replied. It's waiting. Sar walked into a small restaurant. Tables were set. Music played from hidden speakers, slow jazz, calm and dreamy. He stepped behind the counter and looked at the security. Monitor. Every camera showed the same thing. An empty city. Then one screen flickered. A blur passed across it. Too fast to identify. He paused the footage. Rewound it. There it was again. A shape, human-sized, moving like wind. He called over his officer. What do you see? The officer watched. A ghost. Sar shook his head. No, something alive, something real. Just then, a soldier's voice screamed through the comms. Movement, northeast building. I saw someone. Sar ran out of the restaurant and followed the team. They reached an old office tower. The front doors were open. A light flickered on the 10th floor. Up there. A scout pointed. They rushed inside, weapons ready, steps echoing on marble floors. The elevator was still working, but they took the stairs, faster, safer, floor by floor. They climbed. At the 10th floor landing. They paused. The hallway was silent. The light at the far end blinked softly. Sar moved first, gun raised. Then he saw it. A shadow standing still, human-shaped. Facing away. Sar aimed his weapon. Turn around slowly. The figure didn't move. Another soldier stepped forward. It's not responding. They moved closer, carefully, step by step. Then the figure moved, not like a person, but like a reflection, sliding along the wall without turning. And then it was gone, gone without a sound. What was that? Someone gasped. Sar walked up to where the figure had stood. On the wall was a mirror. No reflection showed in it. Instead, words appeared in red. You don't belong here. The mirror cracked. The lights went out. The building shook. Fall back, Sar shouted. Get out. They ran down the stairs as the floor above them collapsed with a thunderous crash. Outside, dust filled the sky. The tower crumbled, but only the top floors. As if someone had chosen just enough to scare, not destroy. Back in the open street, the soldiers caught their breath. We were being watched, Sar said. That wasn't an accident. A drone buzzed overhead. One of the scouts controlled it. Commander, she said. The next block over, there's a pattern on the rooftops. A pattern? She turned the drone camera toward a set of connected buildings. From above, it was clear. Letters. Giant ones. Spelled across rooftops. We studied your movements. Sar stared in silence. Voice came through the drone. Human. Female. Soft. We learned your patterns. We listened to your thoughts. You came to fight. But we are not here to fight. The drone feed cut out. Static. Gone. The scout dropped the controller. I didn't connect to any human channel. That voice. It came through us. Like they hijacked it. Sar turned to his squad. This city is not abandoned. It's being used. The whole city is a message. Another soldier nodded slowly. A message made from silence. Let's go deeper, Sar said. We need answers. They moved underground through a metro tunnel system. Lights flickered overhead. Trains sat still, doors open, but as they walked, They noticed something new. Drawings, hundreds of them, painted on tunnel walls, simple childlike drawings. People smiling, trees, rockets, families holding hands, and below each one, a sentence. We chose to remember. One soldier touched the wall. "Commander, these are memories." Another whispered, "They're showing us their past, their hope. They're showing us what they were," Sar said, "and maybe what they became." They reached a control room, still active, screens glowing blue. One showed a map of the entire city. Flashing dots showed movement, thousands of them, below the city, deep underground. "They're here," Sar said. "But not on the surface, not anymore." One of the screens shifted. A face appeared, a child, human, smiling. Her voice echoed gently. "We are not gone, we just moved." Sar stepped closer to the screen. "Moved where?" she replied. "Inside." "The Kaundizamdo." Screen flashed and showed a diagram of a human brain, merged with wires, machines, and light. "Mind?" Sar asked. "No," the girl said. "More." Then the room went dark again. Silence returned. Back above ground, the soldiers exited the tunnel. The sun had started to set, casting long shadows over the ghost city. But something had changed. Now there were lights and windows, soft lights, as if people were home. But when the soldiers checked, the rooms were empty. Just warm air. Blank books. Echoes of laughter that faded when entered. "These are memories," Sar said. "Projected into space. Echoes of what once was." A soldier asked, "Why are they doing this?" Another said, "To warn us. To show us what they became." Sar nodded. "Or to tell us this planet is no longer what we thought we came for. War. But Earth became something else." In the distance, church bells rang. No one had touched them. The team stood still, listening to the slow, ringing sound. Then one soldier spoke. "Sir, look at the sky." Above them, the clouds had formed a strange shape, a massive human eye, glowing with pale blue light. Watching them, Sar felt cold. Not from fear, but from understanding. This city, it's not dead. It's awake. And as they stared at the eye in the sky, another message appeared on their HUDs, across every visor. "You trained to erase us, but we chose to remember everything." The silence was broken by a single beep. Commander Xer's eyes snapped open. The command room was dark, except for the glowing red numbers. On every screen, 900, a countdown. The whole fleet froze. "This again?" Xer whispered. "Not now." His communications officer looked terrified. "Sir, it's everywhere, on every ship, every console." Xer slammed his fist on the table. "Cut it off! Block the signal!" But no command responded. The numbers ticked down. "VPC, why we can't stop it," the officer said, voice shaking. "The signal is inside our systems." Xer paced. "Who's sending this? How?" "Unknown, sir. It's not a weapon. Not a virus. More like a message." Outside the windows, the stars seemed to blink. The fleet trembled like it felt the countdown too. "Prepare for impact?" a soldier asked. "No," Xer growled. "We do not fear a countdown." He moved to the communicator. "Alpha Unit, report. Static Alpha Unit." He yelled. Still nothing. On Earth's surface, Captain Rule stood with his team, watching the countdown appear on their wrist devices. "Another countdown," Rule said, voice tight. "What is it this time?" Sar joined them from the comms. "It's the same signal that froze our systems last time. Last time we lost soldiers." Rule clenched his fists. "We don't know what it means, but it's not good." The countdown continued. 7 call on 4-5. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Rule grabbed his comm. "All units report. Status." Voices came back, some frightened, some confused. "We feel the earth moving. Structures shaking. Power fluctuations everywhere." From the sky, a strange light began to shine down, soft white and pulsing. "What is that?" a soldier asked. Rule looked up. "I don't know, but it's not a weapon." The light grew brighter. It moved like a wave across the land. And then, across every screen on the alien ships, a new message appeared. "Your time is measured. Your actions remembered. Prepare to face your truth." X's face grew hard. "What truth?" A voice answered, calm and deep. It came through every radio, every speaker, every mind. "We are the echoes of the past, the memories of Earth. You cannot break us." The soldiers on the ground froze. "Who is this?" Rule asked. The voice continued. "You train to destroy, but we train to endure." "Endure what?" Sar asked. The voice laughed softly. "To endure time, to endure silence, to endure forgetting." Suddenly, the countdown sped up. 5:004:59 ships began losing power. Weapons systems failed. Communications jammed. Xer clenched his teeth. "Fail-safes, activate." But fail-safes died. The stars outside flickered. The fleet wobbled. On the ground, Rule's team took cover as the Earth shook violently. Buildings cracked. Windows shattered. Lights went out. The voice spoke again. "You came as conquerors, but you are guests in a home that no longer lives." Suddenly, the soldiers saw figures, faint, glowing shapes moving in and out of the shadows. Ghosts? No. Not ghosts. Humans. But changed. Different. Stronger. Faster. Silent. They appeared and disappeared, moving like wind. One soldier fired. The shot passed through the figure. "Impossible," he shouted. Rule's eyes narrowed. "These aren't normal humans. There's something more." The glowing shapes moved closer. One stopped in front of Rule. The voice came from it. "You fight what you don't understand." Rule raised his weapon, but it was pulled away. By no hand, no rope, no visible force. "Look," the figure said. "We are not your enemy." Rule swallowed. "Then what are you?" "We are memory. We are time. We are what remains when bodies fade." The ground shook harder. Ships above began to break apart. Explosions rocked the sky. "Fall back," Xer ordered. "Return to the fleet." The soldiers ran toward their transports, but the glowing figures followed. Rule shouted into his cum. "Commander Xer, retreat now." Xer's voice came back, strained. "We are losing control. Fall back." As the countdown reached its last minute, a massive wave of energy surged from Earth. The fleet rocked violently. Ships exploded, burning like stars falling from the sky. One by one, ships fell silent. Xer's ship was the last. He looked out at Earth. The glowing figures were everywhere, silent and watching. The countdown stopped at 0. No explosion. No destruction. Just silence. Xer sat back, breathing hard. "What just happened?" he whispered. The voice returned, soft and clear. "Your training was long. Your weapons strong. But time is stronger." Xer closed his eyes. He knew then they had lost. The Zark thought they had conquered. They thought Earth was silent, defenseless, a prize ready to be taken. But Earth had other plans. Commander Xer stared out at the ruined fleet. Only a few ships remained in orbit, flickering like dying stars. "We need to regroup," Xer said, voice low but firm. "We cannot let them win." Captain Rule shook his head. "They already won, Commander. They never needed to fight." "What do you mean?" Xer asked. Rule looked at the horizon, where Earth's surface shimmered with strange light. "They never lost their power. They just hid it." Suddenly, the sky darkened. Ships began to disappear, one by one. Not exploded. Not destroyed. Just gone. "Where are they going?" asked a soldier. Xer's eyes widened. "Into Earth. Into the planet itself." The Zark realized the truth. They were not invading. Earth was invading them. From underground tunnels, from deep beneath the crust, forces began to rise. Humans, but not as they were before. These humans were shadows and light, made of energy, minds connected to machines, bodies merged with Earth itself. They're using the planet, Sar whispered. They have become part of it. The ground cracked open. From the fissures, glowing figures emerged. Silent warriors, swift and deadly. Rule raised his weapon, but his gun melted before he could fire. A voice came from the leader of the glowing figures. You came to destroy, but now you will be undone. Exer clenched his fists. We will not fall. But the glow spread like wildfire. The ground beneath the invading fleet cracked. Ships were pulled downward by unseen forces. One by one, they were swallowed by the earth. Rule shouted, "Retreat! Retreat now!" But the paths to the ships were blocked. The glowing warriors moved faster than thought. They struck without sound, without mercy. Exer saw his best soldiers fall. I never imagined this, he said quietly. Our weapons useless, our minds betrayed. Sar knelt beside a fallen comrade. They are not just fighting us. They are rewriting us. What does that mean? Rule asked. It means they change reality. They bend time and space. They turn our strength into weakness. Exer knew they were losing everything. The Zark fleet was trapped. The reverse invasion had begun. Humans, once thought weak and primitive, had become masters of their own world and beyond. The final message came through all channels. Your invasion ended the day you stepped on Earth. Now you will return to where you came from. Exer looked at the message, feeling its weight. We are prisoners, he said. Rule nodded. No, we are lessons. Lessons? Exer asked. Yes, that power is not just in weapons. It is in mind, spirit, and time. The glowing figures closed. And Exer raised his voice. We trained for war, but Earth trained for this. The Earth itself had become the weapon, and the reverse invasion was complete. The once mighty Zark Dominion was crumbling. Commander Exer stood on the bridge of the last surviving ship. Around him, alarms blared. The fleet was reduced to a handful of damaged vessels, drifting like ghosts in space. Status report. Exer demanded. The communications officer's voice trembled. Sir, most of our systems are offline. The Earth forces control the battlefield now. We've lost contact with all outposts. Exer's eyes burned with frustration. How did it come to this? We prepared for centuries. Our training was perfect, our weapons unbeatable. Lieutenant Sar stepped forward, calm but tired. Our training was only half the truth. What truth? Exer asked sharply. Sar looked out the window. We trained to fight enemies who looked like us. But Earth became something else, something we never expected. Exer clenched his fists. They used tricks, illusions, hiding in shadows. But we still had firepower. Not firepower, Sar said softly. They changed the rules. Suddenly, the ship trembled violently. Shields failing, yelled an engineer. Impact on the hull. Another cried. Exer gripped the railing. What now? A voice came over the comm. It was Captain Rule. Commander, the surface forces have cut off all escape routes. The glowing humans control every entry point. Exer's face hardened. We're trapped. Rule continued. Our soldiers are exhausted. Morale is low. Many are surrendering. The Zark are breaking. Exer shook his head. We are the Dominion. We do not break. But we are collapsing, Sar said quietly. Not just physically, but as a people. Exer turned to his officers. What is our final option? Rule answered. A retreat into the core of our home planet. There, we might regroup. Exer nodded. Prepare the jump. As the fleet prepared to jump through space, an explosion rocked the command ship. The lights flickered. A message flashed on the main screen. You destroyed worlds. You conquered stars. but your pride will be your ruin. Exer's heart sank. From where? No signal source found. The technician replied. Exer looked at the message again. Then the screen showed a face. Not angry, not threatening, just sad. A human man. With gentle eyes, he spoke. We were not your enemy. Exer stared, speechless. The man continued. You came with weapons and hate. We only wish to live in peace. Exer's voice cracked. Why did you not stop us sooner? The man smiled sadly. We tried. But you would not listen. Now you face the consequences. Suddenly, the ship shook again. Tsar shouted. They're inside the ship. Prepare for boarding. Exer commanded, though his voice was weak. Through the corridors, strange shadows moved. Not fully human. Not fully machine. The glowing humans had come for the final step. Exer grabbed his weapon. We will not surrender. But his soldiers dropped their weapons one by one. They looked at the glowing figures not as enemies, but as judges. Exer lowered his gun. The man's voice echoed through the ship. Your empire falls not by force, but by understanding. Exer sank to his knees outside. The last Zark ships powered down. The Dominion was no more. The collapse was complete. But as silence filled the void, one question lingered. Was this the end? Or a new beginning? The stars above were quiet, but the silence was not peace. Commander Exer stood on the bridge of the last Zark ship, looking down at Earth's glowing blue surface. The invasion had failed. The fleet was shattered, the soldiers broken. They had expected a quick victory. Instead, they faced a truth that none had prepared for. Suddenly, the communication console beeped. Incoming message, said the technician. Exer leaned forward. The screen flickered and then showed a human figure. It was a woman, middle-aged, with tired but strong eyes. She spoke clearly, with calm confidence. I am Dr. Lena Moreau, she said. I speak for Earth's people. The Zark officers exchanged glances. A message, after all that. Exer spoke carefully. Dr. Moreau, what do you want? Lena smiled slightly. To end this. To speak before more blood is spilled. Exer's jaw tightened. You speak as if you won. Because we have, Lena said. Not by weapons, but by understanding. The ship shook gently. Exer ignored it. Explain, he said. Lena's eyes softened. We once were like you. Fighting for power, for control. But Earth changed us. How? Exer asked. We learned to listen, she said. To history, to each other. We embraced what makes us human. Not just strength, but empathy. Exer frowned. Empathy is weakness. Lena shook her head. No, it is our greatest power. She paused, then continued. We reached a point where destruction meant extinction for all. So we chose peace. Peace? Exer repeated. Then why prepare for war? Because peace must be guarded, she said. And because sometimes war teaches us who we really are. A silence fell. Exer looked at the stars again. You stopped us. How? By showing you what you ignored, Lena said. That time is not owned by force. That survival is not just about power, but about change. Suddenly, the ship's systems flickered. Alarm sounded. Attack! Shouted a soldier. Exer's hand shot to his weapon, but Lena held up her hand in the video. Wait, she said. This is a test. Test? Exer asked, confused. Yes, to see if you have learned anything. To see if you can still listen. The ship trembled again, but this time no weapons fired. Instead, the Zark soldiers felt a strange calm. A voice came through the ship's speakers, not Lena's, but something deeper. We are all connected. Your journey is our history. Your failure is our lesson. Exer lowered his gun. What do you want from us? He asked quietly. To join, Lena replied. Not as enemies, but as allies. To rebuild what was broken. Exer's officers looked at each other. Was this surrender or something more? The countdown that haunted the fleet vanished from all screens. In its place, a new message appeared. The future is shared. The past remembered. The war is over. Exer closed his eyes. For the first time in centuries, he felt hope. "We will speak," he said. "Not as conquerors, but as learners." Lena smiled again. "Welcome, Commander. Welcome home."